नवंबर 2023 की विजन आईएएस की मंथली मैगजीन कवर करते हैं। सो बेसिकली पॉलिटी एंड गवर्नेंस की बात करते हैं। नारी शक्ति वंदन, ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का 106th अमेंडमेंट एक्ट 2023 पास हुआ। 106 नारी शक्ति वंदन। Recently, Parliament passed the Constitution 106th Amendment Act to provide for 1/3 reservation to women in the Lok Sabha, State Assembly and Assembly of NCT of Delhi. Later, political empowerment of women 1992 में reservation for the women in the Panchayat and municipality 73rd and 74th Amendment respectively. 1996 में 81st Amendment Bill was introduced to reserve 1/3 seats for women in Lok Sabha and State Assembly. Okay, 81st Amendment Bill था 1998 में 99 similar attempts were made. 2008 last such attempt was made in 2008 when a bill for the reservation of women was introduced and passed in the Rajya Sabha. Later the bill lapsed. Okay, so finally Lok Sabha, State Assembly and the Assembly of NCT of Delhi. Articles amended 239AA, reservation of the 1/3 seat for the women in the Legislative Assembly of the NCT of Delhi. 239AA. In articles inserted Article 330A, reservation of the 1/3 seat for women in the House of the People, Lok Sabha. 330A. It also includes reservation of the 1/3 seat for women and the total number of seats reserved for SC, ST under Article 330. 332A. 330 में SC, ST के लिए सीट रिजर्व है, 330A में वुमेन के लिए भी है. 332A, 330A. Reservation of the 1/3 seat for the women in the Legislative Assembly of every state. It also includes reservation of the 1/3 seat for women under total number of seats reserved for SC, ST under Article 332. 334 provision of this act shall come into effect at a delimitation after the first census. Take a provision of this act. 334 में लिखा है कि provision of this act shall come into effect after delimitation after the first census taken after the commencement of this act. Sunset clause provision relating to the reservation of the seat for women shall cease to have effect after the expiration of the 15 year of reservation of the women. However, can be extended by the Parliament by law. Periodic rotation of seat reserved for women after such subsequent delimitation as Parliament may by law determine. Provision of this act shall not affect any representation in Legislative Assembly and the Lok Sabha until their dissolution. Shall not affect any representation in legislative until their dissolution. Need for the women reservation in the legislature. Under representation of women in legislature, only about 40% of the members in Indian Parliament MP are women at the highest, so far 14%. Average representation of the women in state assembly is around 8% only, and some states like Mizoram have no women legislator. According to the Inter-Parliamentary Union IPU, India has a fewer percentage of women in the lower house than its neighbors such as Nepal, Pakistan, Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. Political underrepresentation of women is a major concern for India's poor performance in the World Economic Forum Global Gender Gap Report 2014 कितनी 2023 में कितनी रैंक आई है 127 आउट ऑफ द 146 127 ग्लोबल जेंडर गैप किसकी वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमिक फोरम की. पैट्रियार्कल नेचर ऑफ द पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज ऑफ इफेक्टिव एक्शन फॉर वुमेन इज imperative to better their condition. We have to take affirmative action. So affirmative action for women is imperative to better their conditions since the political parties are inherently patriarchal. It would also help overcome the entire barriers like money power and muscle power for women leadership at the state and the national level. उनके पास इतनी money power नहीं होती, muscle power नहीं होती. So for their leadership, such reservation was of utmost importance. Or such affirmative action were important. Gender sensitization of public policy. Women representation in the decision making process रहेगा essential to address the problems like lower female labor force participation, increased criminal rate against women, increased crime rate against the problems like lower female labor force participation, increasing crime rate against women. Evidence for the reservation at the local level. According to assessment of the Oxfam India, reservation for women at the local level led to a significant increase in the reporting of the crime, improved access to basic amenities like drinking water, schools, etc. Okay. Nudging women-led development. It can enable greater participation of the women as the public representatives in policy making at the national and the state level. Nudging women-led development. Enable greater participation of women as public representative in policy making at the national and the state level. Content with the act. Against inequality. Idea of reservation runs counter to the principle of equality enshrined in the constitution as women may not be competing on merit. Against inequality, जो कि merit पे नहीं है. Idea of reservation runs counter to the principle of equality enshrined in the constitution as women may not be competing on merit. Reservation of seat for women in the legislature restrict voters' choice and runs counter to the idea of self-determinism. Impact on voters' choice according to the idea of self-determination and not competing on merit. Non-homogeneous group. Women are not homogeneous community such as the caste group. Therefore, the arguments made for the caste-based reservation cannot be made for women. Therefore, the arguments made for the caste-based reservation cannot be made for women. women are not a homogeneous community such as a caste group. Therefore, the argument made for the caste-based reservation cannot be made for women. Less impact on the political empowerment of women. There are larger issues of the electoral government such as criminalization of the politics, internal democracy in political parties that might act as an impediment to the political empowerment of women. Less impact on political empowerment of women. There are larger issues of electoral reform such as criminalization of politics, internal democracy in political parties that might act as an impediment. There are larger issues of political reform such as criminalization of politics, internal democracy in political parties that might act as an impediment to political empowerment of the women. Disparity. ये homogeneous group नहीं होते like the caste based reservation. Disparity at the crucial the act provides for reservation of 1/3 seat allotment of all lower seats that is set again seat as against the provision of reserving 1/3 seat in each state duty as mentioned in 2000 across all Lok Sabha seats. ठीक है, in each state duty across all Lok Sabha seats as against the provision of reserving 1/3 seat in each state duty as mentioned in 2000 April. The act provides for the rotation of seat after every delimitation exercise as against after every general election to the Parliament, State Legislative Assembly. Reservation in the Rajya Sabha Legislative Act does not contain any provision for the reservation of the women in the Rajya Sabha Legislative Council of the State. फिर गीता मुखर्जी कमेटी फॉर्म हुई थी 1996 में रिकमेंडेड प्रोवाइडिंग रिजर्वेशन फॉर वुमेन इन राज्यसभा एंड लेजिस्लेटिव काउंसिल एज वेल. Timely implementation. The time bound conduct and publication of the census data and delimitation exercise should be time bound conduct, publication of the census data. Time bound conduct and publication of the census data and delimitation exercise should be done to ensure timely implementation of the act. Capacity building involves civil society and other institutions for training, mentorship of women leaders at local level to ensure their effective mobilization at the state and national level. Timely implementation, time-bound conduct and publication of the census data. Delimitation exercise should be done to ensure timely implementation of the act. Involve civil society, other institutions for training and mentorship of the women leaders at the local level to ensure their effective mobilization at the state and the national level. Simultaneous election. The Union Government had recently notified an 8-member committee under the leadership of the former President Sri Ram Nath Kovind to examine and make recommendation on simultaneous election timeline or simultaneous election in India 1952 से 1967 जनरल इलेक्शन टू द लोकसभा एंड द स्टेट असेंबलीज व कनेक्टेड साइमल्टेनियसली. उसके बाद 1968 से 69 के बीच में प्री मैच्योर डिसोल्यूशन ऑफ लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबली. 1979 में प्री मैच्योर डिसोल्यूशन ऑफ द लोकसभा लीडिंग टू द फर्स्ट इलेक्शन इन 1971. Election Commission of India suggested working on simultaneous election since 1983. It is an idea aimed to synchronize the Lok Sabha, State Assembly election, municipality and the panchayat such that the voters in a particular constituency vote on the same day. Simultaneous election do not mean that voting across the country for all election need to happen on a single day. For instance, this can be conducted in a phase-wise manner as per the existing practice, provided voters in a particular constituency vote for the both State Assembly and Lok Sabha the same day. Argument for the simultaneous election. It impacts on the governance due to the frequent imposition of the MCC. Arguments for simultaneous imposition of MCC puts on hold entire development program activities of the union and the state government. And in the poll-bound state, massive expenditure in the conduct of election lead to the huge expenditure by various stakeholders on account of conduct, control and supervision of election. On account of conduct, control and supervision of election lead to huge expenditure by various stakeholders on account of conduct, control and supervision of election. For instance, as per the CMA data, formal expenditure of the ECI in 2011 was rupees 10,000 crore. Prolonged deployment of security personnel, about 2 to 5 state assemblies go to polls every 6-month period, which leads to a lock-in or the 2 से 5 state assemblies 6-month period leads to lock-in of the central armed police force and the state police force for a prolonged period. Other issues: frequent election disrupt the normal public life. For instance, political rallies disrupt road traffic and also lead to noise pollution. Frequent election perpetuate caste, religion and communal issues across the country. Caste issues perpetuate caste, religion and communal issues. Elections are polarizing events that have accentuated their polarizing. Casteism, communalism, corruption and chronic capitalism shift in the focus of governance and policy making towards populism for immediate political gain as against the long-term prudential policy making. Shift in focus of governance and policy making towards populism. Shift in focus of governance and policy making. Shift in focus किसका? Of governance and policy making towards the populism and for immediate political gain as against the long-term prudential policy making. Challenges implementing operational challenge, constitutional and the statutory concern. Constitutional and statutory concern in extending or curtailing the existing terms of some state assembly to synchronize the cycle for the first time. Constitutional concern है, statutory concern है in extending or curtailing the existing terms of some state assembly to synchronize the cycle for the first time. The need for amendment to multiple constitutional provision. Article 83, 85, 172, 174, 356 related to the conduct of election and the by-election and no candidate motion, no confident motion. 356, okay, 83, 85, 172, 174, 356. Election related to conduct of election, by-election, no confident motion. Logistical and the warehousing issue required twice as many as EVM. Logistical, warehousing, EVM, voter verifiable paper audit trail machine. Impact to voter behavior. Apprehension that national issues may dominate over the regional issues or vice versa, impacting voter behavior. Lack of familiarity with the idea last simultaneous election was held in 1960, and an entire generation is not only with the idea of simultaneous election. Therefore, there is a need to explain how and why one has to wait twice or thrice at the polling booth. Loss of political accountability to the electorate, as electorate जो political accountability होती है वो नहीं होगी. Loss of political accountability to the electorate, as elected representative, and the parties will have to face election only once in 5 years. Elected representative for parties. Impact on the economy at the grassroots level, as many jobs are created during election. Recommendation on the implementation of the simultaneous election. Law Commission 178 report आई थी 1999 में hold election to the Lok Sabha State Assembly simultaneously but without the result of election till after the expiry of the term of the assembly concerned, the interval no exceeding 6 months. Parliamentary Standing Committee on the Personal Public Grievances and the Law and Justice 79th report. Parliament Standing Committee on Personal Public Grievances, Law and Justice 79th report आई थी. Parliament Standing Committee की 2-phase synchronized election and holding election of some state legislature at midterm of the Lok Sabha and remaining with the end of the tenure of the Lok Sabha. Okay, by election for 2-phase synchronized election, by election to all seats falling vacant in a particular year are be conducted together on a predetermined date or time frame. नीति आयोग डिस्कशन पेपर 2017 conduct 2-phase simultaneous election based on the recommended 2-phase synchronized election, 2-phase simultaneous election based on the recommended Parliamentary Standing Committee in case of the premature dissolution of Lok Sabha State Assembly that on the newly elected house should be for the rest that would have been the original term. In the event of the no confidence motion, simultaneously move a confidence motion for formation of an alternative government. Fix 2 windows of 1.5 months each for holding all by election due in a particular year. 2 windows of 1.5 months. Law Commission draft report 2018 में the framework for synchronization of election, advancing or postponing election timing in certain states such as the election to all the state assemblies and the Lok Sabha may held together. Conduct election only twice in 5 years. Conduct all election falling in a calendar year together. Replace the no confidence motion with a constructive vote of no confidence through appropriate amendment. No confidence motion through a constructive vote of no confidence. It further suggested the option of limiting the number of no confidence motions during the term of the House and Assembly. Okay. As the government explored the idea of simultaneous election for the thorough and a very transparent deliberation should guide any decision to ensure that the integrity of a democratic process remains intact. A thorough and a transparent deliberation. As the government explored the idea of the simultaneous election for the very thorough and transparent deliberation and should guide through thorough and transparent deliberation for guiding a decision to ensure that the dignity of our democratic process remains intact. Artificial intelligence and election. 5 Swiss political parties have signed a code of conduct agreeing to limit the use of AI in the campaign for the federal election. Artificial the ability of a machine to display human-like capabilities such as reasoning, learning, planning, and creativity. Human-like capabilities. Role of the AI in election. Predictive modeling. The prediction models can be built using AI. Okay, prediction. It will help determine the probability of a voter backing a specific candidate. Factors such as demographics, voting pattern, issues that matter can be considered to build a model that help and identify the voters who will vote for a particular candidate. Predictive modeling. Social media analysis using AI. Parties can analyze the trend and the sentiment to build a social media outreach program as per the voters' preference. Personalization. It can social media analysis, prediction analysis, predictive modeling, social media analysis, personal. AI can aid in tailoring communication for specific voters based on their interests, preferences, and trade. AI can aid in tailoring communication for specific voters. AI can aid in tailoring communication for specific voters. AI can aid in tailoring communication for specific voters based on their interest, preference, and trade. This can assist candidate in connecting with the audience more deeply. AI can aid in tailoring communication for specific voters. AI can aid in tailoring communication for specific voters based on their interests, preferences, and trade. This can assist candidates in connecting with the audience more deeply. Okay, AI personalization AI can tailoring communication for a specific voter based on their interest, preference, and trait. This connects candidate in connecting with the audience more deeply. Real-time data analysis as campaigns may adapt their messaging, their outreach method in reaction to shifting condition by using AI to evaluate real-time data on social media trends, sentiment, and influences. Increase efficiency. AI can track and measure the performance of the various campaign activities such as advertising, canvassing, event. This enables the campaign to identify what works and doesn't and make data-driven decisions to optimize their activity. Enhanced participation. AI also generates chances for participative democracy like enhanced voter education mobilization. AI also generates chances for participative democracy. AI enhanced participation. Increase efficiency. AI can track and measure the performance of various campaign activities, advertising, canvassing, event in the campaigns to identify what works and doesn't and make the data-driven decision to optimize the activity. AI also generates chances for participative democracy like enhanced voter education mobilization. तो ये एक predictive modeling, social media analysis, personalization, real-time data analysis, increase efficiency, enhance participation. Concern associated with AI manipulation. AI can be used to create deepfake videos, misinformation, social media manipulation, influencing voters, distorting the truth. Public figure can be demeaned or even blackmailed with deepfake, influencing political life or withdrawing from the public election or the politics. Erode trust in the election. AI tool can be used to conduct and influence campaigns that have the potential to undermine the public trust in democratic institution and election. Conduct an influence campaign. Lack of regulation. There is a lack of comprehensive regulation specifically addressing the use of AI in election. Accuracy and data quality. The effectiveness and the precision of the AI system deployed. Effectiveness and precision of AI system deployed in the political campaigns are hindered and by the accuracy and the reliability of the algorithm. कि भाई जो भी algorithm use हो रहा है, is it accurate, is it reliable, as well as the quality and the quantity of the available data. Cybersecurity vulnerability. Using AI to gather and analyze personal voter data, raise privacy and data protection concern due to the lack of the cybersecurity infrastructure. Data storage device. Increase cyber attack. Data storage. Okay. Cybersecurity when using AI to gather and analyze personal voter data. Using AI to gather as well as the analyze personal voter data raises privacy and data protection concern. Accuracy, data quality, lack of regulation, comprehensive regulation नहीं है, erode trust in election, manipulation. Using AI to gather and analyze the personal data raises privacy and data protection concern. Lack of cyber security infrastructure, data storage devices and increased cyber attack. Way forward. Regulatory framework. Government should establish clear regulatory framework for the use of the AI in election, including data protection, campaign, advertising. Government should establish clear regulatory framework for the use of the AI in election, including data protection, campaign, advertising. Government should establish clear regulatory framework for the use of AI in election, data protection, campaign, advertising. Data protection, campaign, advertising. Regulatory framework. Strengthen the Election Commission of India to reduce the risk of AI misuse by political to reduce the risk of AI misuse by political campaigns. To reduce the risk of the AI misuse by political campaigns. जो पानी 3.5 कटोरी. Strengthen the Election Commission to reduce the risk of the AI misuse by political campaign. AI should strengthen the disclosure requirement governing online communication. ECI must establish clear guidelines and ethical framework for the use of the AI in election, emphasizing the accountability and responsibility. AI in election data protection. Regulatory framework, data protection, campaign advertising, reduce the risk of AI misuse by political campaign. Okay. ECI should strengthen AI misuse. ECI should strengthen the disclosure requirement and covering online communication. ECI must establish clear and ethical framework for the use of the AI in election, emphasizing accountability and responsibility. The government should ramp up effort to promote innovation in the reduction of deepfake in voter disinformation campaign, strengthen infrastructure to protect the election from cyber attacks fueled by language models and the chatbot. Security agencies should create and share resources to help election officials address disinformation campaign that exploits the deepfake tool and language model to undermine election process. Adaptive research, continuously monitoring and adaptation and to emerging threats and challenges related to AI in election, responding swiftly to maintain the integrity of the electoral process. Continuously monitoring and adapting to the emerging threats and the challenges related to AI in election, responding swiftly to maintain the integrity of the electoral process. Personality right, adaptive response, continuously monitoring and adapt to the emerging threat and challenge. Personality right. Recently, the Delhi High Court granted protection to a female qualified actor. Personality right from use by third parties. Personality right refer to the right of the person to protect his personality under the right to privacy or property. It includes his name, voice, signature, image, or any other feature easily determined as in the market of personality. It is a segment to protect the privacy of individual right to derive economic benefit out of their personality trait and consumers from misleading the advertisement. Personality right and personality right or the protection are not expressly mentioned in any statute in India, but are traced to fall under the right to privacy and the right to property. Two components of personal right to publicity, right to keep one's image and the likeness from being commercially exploited without the permission or the contractual compensation. It is governed by the statute like Trademark Act of 1999, Copyright Act of 1957. Right to privacy, right to not have one's personality represented publicly without permission. Right to keep one's image and likeness from being commercially exploited without permission. Right to not have one's personality represented without permission. It is broadly covered in Article 21 of the Constitution and the judgment, Supreme Court judgment and justice case Puthaswamy case of 2018. Posthumous personality right in emblems and the name. Prevention of the emblems and names. Prevention of the improper use Act 1950. Protects unauthorized use of a few dignitaries' name and the symbols listed in its schedule. Okay, emblem and name 1950 IPC. If negative reference to or derogatory representation is made to any deceased person's reputation or their family, then defamation suit can be filed under the FEC. Negative reference, defamatory, derogatory representation is made. Trademark law. It ensures that the benefit to refrain others from using others' name unjustly, effectively in addition to personal right to sue them for the misuse of others' name. Judicial interpretation. Titan Industries versus Rajkumar Jeweler case. Delhi High Court stated that the personality right includes the right to not intrude upon their private space or solitude, publicly disclose sensitive facts, misrepresent their image publicly, or use their name to be unjustly enriched. Deepa Jayakumar versus A.L. Vijay case. Madras High Court held that the personality right ceased to exist after the death of the personality right and cannot be inherited by the legal heir. Sakshi Malik versus Venkateshwar creation in Bombay High Court held that using another's image and more specifically a private image without consent is illegal. Arun Jaitley versus Network Solution Private Limited. Delhi High Court stated that the popularity of the fame of individual will be no different on the internet than in reality. Personality right under international convention. There is no explicit international convention on the radio and protection of the publicity right till it. However, certain publicity right can be derived from the following international convention. Rome Convention 1960. It protects the performance right, his phonogram producers right and broadcasting right. TRIPS Agreement 1994. It ensures secure certain right of the phonogram producer live performance in the broadcast right. VPO performance and phonogram treaty protect the right of the performance and the phonogram producer, particularly in a digital environment. So TRIPS 1994, Rome Convention 1961. Challenges in enforcing personality rights in India. Conflict with the Constitution. Conflict between the right to publicity, media right to publish and to inform public about the matters of the public interest and citizens' right to know. Conflict between right to publicity, media's right to publish and inform public about the matters of public interest and citizens' right to know. Inform public, media's right to punish and inform public of the matters of public interest and citizens' right to know. The article is अपने conflict. Absence of legislative framework. There is no existing comprehensive legislative framework to prevent the various phases of the personality rights as transferability of the publicity right. So dark pattern, deceptive internet technique and generative AI, they are difficult to regulate, which can infringe on individuals' right to privacy and publicity. Deceptive internet technique, generative AI, they are difficult to regulate. ठीक है. Deceptive internet technique, generative AI are difficult to regulate, which can infringe on individuals' right to privacy and publicity. Generative AI. Conclusion. Personality right encompasses a wide range of aspects from the right to privacy and publicity right to privacy, right to publicity, to the right to be free from defamation and harassment. Right to privacy, right to publicity, right to defamation, right to harassment. They are not a legal they are not only a legal construct but also an embodiment of the fundamental principle of human dignity and individual autonomy. Okay, Secretariat of the Parliament. As the Parliament completes 75 years of Parliament Secretariat, as the Parliament completes 75 years, Parliament Secretariat has been the custodian of procedure, precedent, and legislative knowledge of the two houses. Constitutional provision. Article 98. Each House of Parliament shall have a separate secretarial staff. Each House of Parliament shall have a separate secretarial staff. Parliament may by law regulate the requirement, conditions or service of a person appointed to the secretarial, and each House of Parliament shall have a separate secretarial staff. Article 98 कहता है Parliament may now regulate the recruitment, condition of service of person appointed to the secretarial staff of either House of the Parliament. It also allows creation of posts common to both the House of the Parliament. Article 187 makes similar provision for the Secretariat of State Legislature. 98. 187. Council of State Rajya Sabha, House of the People Lok Sabha came into existence in 1952. However, the Secretariat of the House of the People continued to be called the Parliament Secretariat. Council of State Rajya Sabha and House of the People Lok Sabha came into 1952. However, the Secretariat of the House of the People will continue to be called the Parliament Secretariat, and a new secretariat called the Council of State Secretariat was set up for the Rajya Sabha. And the name of the two secretariats was changed in 1954 to Rajya Sabha Secretariat and Lok Sabha Secretariat. 88. Lok Sabha Secretariat Speaker Lok Sabha vested with the ultimate guidance and the control over the Secretariat. Administrative Head is Secretary General. Recruitment and the condition of service governed by the Lok Sabha Secretariat. Recruitment Conditions Service Rule 1959 promulgated by the President in consultation with the Speaker. The rules provide for the strength, kitna composition of the Secretariat. All appointment to the post shall be made by the Speaker. Speaker may delegate to the Secretary General, delegate to the Secretary or any other officer of the Secretary his powers to make appointment. And okay, Rajya Sabha Secretariat Chairman Rajya Sabha vested with administrative control over the Secretariat. Administrative Head is Secretary in General. Recruitment and conditions of service governed by the Rajya Sabha Secretariat. The Recruitment and Conditions of Service Rule of 1957. Lok Sabha Secretariat Government Recruitment and Conditions of Service 1955. Rajya Sabha 1957. Okay, promulgated by the President in consultation with the Chairman. वही है function of the Secretary as a change for the effective functioning of the House of the People, payment of the salary and other allowances, servicing various parliamentary committee. Secretary General's aid and advice to the presiding officer. Aid and advice is the presiding officer prepare research and reference material and bring out various publications, prepare and publish a record of the day-to-day proceeding of the House. Day-to-day proceeding of the House. Day-to-day proceeding of the House. Other key information. Secretariat from both the houses have been divided into 10 services on functional basis like legislative function and executive function, administrative service, verbatim reporting service, etc. Speaker and the chairman can create new post in executive secretariat. However, for post in class 1 or the class 2 prior consultation with the Union Ministry of the Finance is mandatory. अगर क्लास 1 क्लास 2 में करना है तो फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर की ओर से ये होती है. सेक्रेटरी जनरल ऑफ बोथ द हाउसेस होल्ड रैंक इक्विवेलेंट टू दैट ऑफ द कैबिनेट सेक्रेटरी ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया. However, in the table of the President's Cabinet Secretary General of both the houses hold rank equivalent to that of a Cabinet Secretary of the Government of India. However, the table of President Cabinet Secretary is placed at the 11th position, where Secretary to Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha is placed at the 23rd position. Okay. Limitation of the Secretary of the Parliament. Absence of legislative framework. No law has so far been passed in the Article 98 to regulate their recruitment and the कि कोई लॉ नहीं पास किया गया टू रेगुलेट देयर रिक्रूटमेंट कंडीशन ऑफ सर्विस द सेक्रेटरियल स्टाफ ऑफ अदर हाउस ऑफ द पार्लियामेंट. लैक ऑफ ऑटोनॉमी. पार्लियामेंट सेक्रेटरियट्स आर ऑफन एलिजिबल ऑफ पार्टीशनशिप इन फेवर ऑफ एग्जीक्यूटिव इन टर्म्स ऑफ disallowing parliamentary question and rejection of amendment resolution of on flimsy ground etc. Parliament secretariat they are often alleged of partisanship in favor of executive in terms of disallowing the parliamentary question or rejection of amendment resolution on flimsy ground. Lack of independent cabinet. Most of the senior posts are held by those nominated from AIS, which adversely impact the independence of the legislature through its dedicated effort. लेजिस्लेटिव फ्रेमवर्क नहीं है, ऑटोनॉमी नहीं है, इंडिपेंडेंट कैडर नहीं है जो AIS होते हैं. और इंडियन सर्विस थ्रू इट्स डेडिकेटेड एफर्ट पार्लियामेंट सेक्रेटेरिएट एंश्योर दैट द विल ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट कीप टर्निंग स्मूथली फैसिलिटेटिंग द लॉ मेकिंग प्रोसेस. थ्रू इट्स डेडिकेटेड एफर्ट पार्लियामेंट सेक्रेटेरिएट एंश्योर करता है कि द विल ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट कीप टर्निंग स्मूथली फैसिलिटेटिंग द लॉ मेकिंग प्रोसेस. अपहोल्डिंग विल ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट कीप टर्निंग स्मूथली फैसिलिटेटिंग. अगर विल ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट होगा तो लॉ मेकिंग प्रोसेस होगा. अपहोल्ड द प्रिंसिपल ऑफ अकाउंटेबिलिटी, ट्रांसपेरेंसी एंड रिप्रेजेंटेशन. अकाउंटेबिलिटी uphold the principle of accountability, transparency, representation. ओके न्यूज़ एंड शॉर्ट कितने हैं? ओके थोड़ी सी है फटाक से ख़त्म कर देता. ओके ओके 108 migrants from the Pakistan border citizens in Gujarat. The Ministry of Home Affairs order 2021 में empowered the collector from certain district in the state of the Gujarat collector. गुजरात हो गया, छत्तीसगढ़, राजस्थान, हरियाणा, पंजाब for registration of the citizen and of India and grant certificate of naturalization under section 5(6) of the Citizenship Act 1950, certificate of naturalization under section 5 and 6 of the Citizenship Act at 1945 effectively. This is applicable in respect of any person belonging to the minority community in Afghanistan, Bangladesh and Pakistan. Minority community in Bangladesh, Afghanistan and Pakistan. Citizenship by naturalization can be acquired by the foreigner, not an illegal migrant who is already resident in India for 12 years throughout the period of 12 months immediately preceding the date of application for 11 years in the aggregate. Resident in India, ordinarily resident in India for 12 years throughout the period of 12 months immediately preceding the date of application for 11 years in the aggregate in the 14 year preceding the 14 year preceding the 12 month. Other qualification as specified in the third schedule of the Citizenship Act of 1955. Constitution provision for citizenship, part 2 of the Constitution. Article 5, 6, 7, 8. Details provision 5, 6, 7, 8. Details provision regarding who will be the citizen of India at the commencement of the Constitution. Article 11 grants the Parliament the authority to make any provision regarding the Parliament by authority to make any provision regarding the acquisition and termination of the citizen. Modes of the acquiring: by birth, by descent, by incorporation of territory, by naturalization and by registration. 5 है disqualification of Dominic Karnataka High Court recently declared the election of a member of the Lok Sabha from Hassan constituency as void. The decision of disqualification emerged on ground of guilty on corrupt practices, including wrong disclosure of the value of properties, evading taxes, Representation of People Act 1951. And even the High Court declared an election void on certain ground on the election. Once the election is declared, कर्नाटका हाई कोर्ट ने दिया था, तो कोर्ट के पास है, ओके हाई कोर्ट के पास है. Once the election is declared void, the member has to vacate the office. The aggrieved person can appeal to the Supreme Court against the order of the High Court. Disqualification of a law is prescribed in section Representation of Act 19, Representation of People Act 1951 under the section 8 for a lawmaker is disqualified for the period of imprisonment and a further 6 years if convicted. For the period of imprisonment and a further 6 years if convicted and sentenced to imprisonment for 2 years. of the more 10 schedule of the Constitution provides for the disqualification of member on ground of defection. Article 102, 191 disqualification of an MP or an MLA respectively. 102, 191, 102, 191. And the grounds here include the office including holding an office of profit, being of unsound mind or insolvent or not having valid citizenship. Panel of vice chairperson, Rajya Sabha chairman and constituted an all-women panel of vice chairperson in Rajya Sabha. Under the rules of the Rajya Sabha, the chairman nominates from among the member a panel of vice chairperson. Any one of them can preside over the house in the absence of the chairman, deputy chairman. However, they cannot preside over the house when the seat of the chairman, deputy chairman is vacant. In this case, the president appoints a member of the house to perform the president appoint करते हैं और appoints a member of the house to perform a chairman's duties. He has the same power as the chairman or presiding and hold office until a new panel of the vice chairman until a new panel of vice chairperson is nominated. Prison reform. Parliamentary committee on the Home Affairs submitted report on prison condition, infrastructure and reforms. Key highlight. Condition and prison reform. Key highlight. Overcrowding. National average occupancy rate in prison across India is 130% with 77% 130%.2. जिसमें से 77% of all the prisoners in the country being understaffed. Prisons are understaffed by approximately 30%. Women prisoners of the total 22,918 women inmates, 1,650 women inmates are with 1867 children. Okay, fewer number of women prisons and low representation of women in prison staff, only 13%. देखो women prison, fewer number of women prison भी नहीं है and low representation of women prison budget. Only 0.6% of the prison budget is spent on vocational training or educational training of the prisoner and 1% on the welfare activity. Only 0.6% of the prison budget is spent on vocational and educational training of prisoner. Only 0.6% of the prison budget is spent on vocational training. Only 0.6% of the prison budget is spent on the vocational educational training of the prisoners and 1% on their welfare activities. Prison budget में से 0.6% and 1% on the welfare activities. undertake a comprehensive study covering the population of the region, crime rate, etc. to develop a suitable plan to enhance the capacity of the prison or another alternative. Implement the support to poor prisoner program announced in the Union Budget. Support to poor prisoners Union Budget 2023. The comprehensive covering the population of the region, crime rate, etc. to develop a suitable plan to enhance the capacity of the prison or another alternative. Utilize technology like a trackable bracelet to keep track of prisoners on bail. Remove colonial era prison to preserve their heritage and earn revenue by encouraging tourism. Remove colonial era prison to preserve their heritage and earn revenue by encouraging tourism. State governments may create a prison development fund for the welfare activities of the prisoner. Utilize technology like trackable bracelets to keep track of prisoners on bail. Renovate colonial era prison to preserve their heritage. Renovate and earn revenue by encouraging tourism. State government may create a prison development fund for the welfare activities of prisoner. Due steps taken by the Center for Prison Reform, prisons and the person detained therein are included in the state list of the 7th schedule of the Constitution. However, given the significance of the prison in the criminal justice system, the Ministry of Home Affairs provide guidance and financial support to the state. It has issued Model Prison Manual 2016 and Model Prison Manual 2016. Model Prison and Correctional Service Act 2023. Public servant lose immunity in a pre-2014 corruption case. The Constitution Bench of the Supreme Court declared that its 2014 judgment, which declares Section 6A of the Delhi Special Police Establishment Act of 1994 as unconstitutional, will have a retrospective effect. Section 6A of Delhi Special Police Establishment Act, inserted in 2003, requires CBI to obtain the prior sanction from the central government to investigate corruption cases against an officer of the rank of Joint Secretary and above. This provision was struck down as unconstitutional violation of the right to equality under Article 14 by the SC in the Subramanian Swamy versus Union of India case 2014. Key highlight of SC judgment: once a law is declared unconstitutional on ground of it infringing any of the fundamental rights it guaranteed under Part 3 of the Constitution, it would be held to be an unenforceable right from the date of the enactment. Void ab initio. Article 21 has no bearing in the context of declaration of the Section 6A as unconstitutional, as Article 21 doesn't bar retrospective application of the procedure real changing criminal trial. Article 21 lays down that no person shall be convicted of any offence except for the violation of law in force at the time of the commencement of the alleged act. Has no bearing in the context of declaration of Section 6A as unconstitutional. About Delhi Police Special Establishment in 1946, an act to investigate cases of the bribery and corruption by the central government employees. CBI's power to investigate cases is derived from this act. IR की बात करते हैं. India recently held a presidency on the G20 summit for the first time at New Delhi with the theme Vasudev Kutumbakam, One Earth, One Family, One Future. The G20 premier forum for international economic cooperation that meets regularly to discuss the most pressing issues facing the global economy. It was founded in 1999 following the Asian financial crisis as a forum for the finance minister as well as central bank governors to discuss the global economic as well as the financial issue. Finance and the central bank governance purpose plays an important role in shaping as well as strengthening the global architecture and governance. Strengthening global architecture and governance of all major international economic issues. Working G20 summit held annually under the for the rotating presidency. Presidency is supported by the Troika, previous, current, and the incoming presidency. Troika consists of Indonesia, India, Brazil होगा. Consists of the two parallel tracks, the finance track and the Sherpa track. Doesn't have any permanent secretariat or staff. मेंबर्स की बात करते हैं तो यूएस है, ओके यूके है, यूएस कोई और है नहीं है. फिर सी से चाइना है, कनाडा है, फिर इंडिया है, इंडोनेशिया है, इटली है, इंडिया इंडोनेशिया इटली, यूरोपियन यूनियन है, फिर ए से अफ्रीकन यूनियन भी है, जर्मनी, जापान, ब्राज़ील, सऊदी अरेबिया, फ्रांस, अर्जेंटीना, टर्की, साउथ कोरिया, Australia, South Korea, South Africa, Saudi Arabia, Russia represent 86% global GDP, 75% global trade, 2/3 world population. Assuming 2020 address financial crisis such as the global financial crisis of 2008-9, Eurozone crisis in 2010, the USD 10 trillion rescue package, USD 10 trillion for 2019 COVID-19 for COVID-19 pandemic, US-China trade truce, 2018 bringing tax reform for the benefit of the low-income countries. Key outcome: unanimous adoption of G20's New Delhi leaders' joint declaration, launch of the Global Biofuel Alliance to increase the consumption of biofuel, memorandum of understanding to establish India's Middle East European Economic Corridor, formal inclusion of the African Union as a permanent member of the G20, and a proposal to launch the G20 satellite mission for the environment, G20 satellite mission for environment and climate observation with an aim to help the countries of the global south, global regulatory framework for the crypto asset and the use of AI responsibly, consensus on G20 framework for Global Digital Public Infrastructure Repository. Global Digital Public Infrastructure Repository. Significance of G20: supporting global financial stability. It plays a key role in promoting the global financial stability through financial regulation, crisis prevention. It plays a key role in promoting global financial. It plays a key role in promoting global financial stability through financial regulation, crisis prevention, financial stability, promoting global financial stability through financial regulation, crisis prevention, management, addressing global development. It has made effort to address a range of the development areas, including the poverty reduction, infrastructure financing, sustainable development, human resource development, employment. As per the 2014 summit in Brisbane, G20 leaders committed to reduce the gender gap in labour force participation by 25% by year 2025 compared to 2012. 25% by 25 goal. Recast the bilateral meeting on the summit sideline have occasionally led to the major international agreement. Significance of G20 presidency for India showcase the leadership. India got a chance to prove its leadership role in steering discussion. It steers discussion, building consensus as well as offering solutions. Steering discussion, building consensus. Steering discussion, building consensus, offering solutions to the development as well as the geopolitical issues. Through his presidency, India was able to embed priorities of the global south in the larger global conversation and advance its own credentials as a voice of the global south. India's initiative led to the African Union being accepted as a permanent member of the G20 economic council. India's G20 presidency is expected to translate into trade and investment opportunities for the Indian business. Global expansion. India expanded India's footprint by hosting the summit. India was able to demonstrate its contemporary technology advancement at its heritage. Culture and tradition, enhancing India's status in global politics, building India's heritage of being the moderating influence, helped in building consensus and lessen the east-west polarization and north-south divide. Steering global agenda and reshaping the world. India used the opportunity to reshape the global agenda based on its priorities and promotes its interest on the international stage. Reshape the global agenda based on its priorities and promote its interest on the international stage. India's G20 priorities: green development, green climate, green finance and life, technological transformation and digital public infrastructure, accelerated, inclusive and resilient growth, multilateral institution for the 21st century, accelerating progress on SDGs, women-led development. Challenges: divergent interests and the priorities among the member countries. This can make it difficult to reach a consensus on the key issues and to promote a coherent approach. Divergent interests, divergent priorities. Difficult to reach consensus and to promote a coherent approach. Lack of effective power. G20 is not a legally binding institution. Geopolitical tension between G20 members undermine the cooperation and makes it difficult to achieve the consensus. The G20 has faced criticism for its perceived lack of action on key global challenges such as climate change and inequality. It operates largely behind a closed doors with limited opportunities for the public scrutiny and accountability, and lacks a formal charter. There is a growing trend toward the protectionism and trade tension between the major economies. It must reach out to non-member state and non-state actors, giving voice and consideration to their concern. It must reach out to the non-member state and non-state actors. So inclusivity, avoid international collective action and problem solving should be encouraged. So insignificant divergent interest, lack of effective power, geopolitical tension, inadequate response to global challenges, limited accountability, transparency, raising protectionism, inclusivity, avoid international conflict, collective action and the problem solving. Collective action, problem solving should be encouraged, and that transferring the traditionally like-minded group of countries effective implementation. Summit leaders should solidify the forum's role through swift action on promises, maintaining continuity, promote collective action on a standard, sustained basis, collective action on a sustained basis, and should maintain continuity on issues taken up across the presidency. Promote collective action on a sustained basis. It should promote collective action on a sustained basis and should maintain continuity on issues taken up across the presidency. Inclusivity, avoiding internal conflict, effective inclusivity, implementation, maintaining continuity. Thank you.